Ladies and gentlemen, in a world that constantly challenges women to rise above limitations, there are a few guiding principles that separate the ordinary from the exceptional. Smart women don't just survive, they thrive. They walk with purpose, make wise choices, and command respect, not just from others, but from themselves. A smart woman understands that she cannot pour from an empty cup. She values her physical, mental, and emotional well-being, knowing that her success, happiness, and ability to care for others all begin with how well she takes care of herself. She does not feel guilty for setting boundaries, taking time to recharge, or saying no when something does not align with her values. Many people believe that prioritizing oneself is selfish, but a smart woman knows that self-care is not a luxury, it is a necessity. She understands that if she neglects herself, she cannot show up as her best self in relationships, in her career, or in any area of life. She takes time for reflection and inner work, making sure that she is aligned with her purpose. She pays attention to her health, nourishing her body with the right foods, exercising regularly, and ensuring she gets enough rest. She does not allow stress and exhaustion to control her life because she knows that a tired mind makes poor decisions. She listens to her body and mind, recognizing when she needs a break, when she needs to slow down, and when she needs to push forward. She does not wait for burnout to remind her to take care of herself. She makes it a daily priority. Beyond physical health, a smart woman guards her mental and emotional well-being. She understands the power of her thoughts and how they shape her reality. She refuses to dwell on negativity, replacing self-doubt with self-belief. She surrounds herself with positivity, whether through the people she allows into her life, the books she reads, or the content she consumes. She is mindful of what she allows into her mind because she knows that her mindset is the foundation of her success. When challenges arise, she does not let them break her spirit. Instead, she views them as opportunities to grow, learning from every setback and using adversity as fuel to propel her forward. She understands that boundaries are a form of self-respect. She does not let others dictate how she should live her life, nor does she allow herself to be drained by people who take more than they give. She knows when to say no, and she does so without guilt. She does not overextend herself to please others at the cost of her own well-being. She values her time and energy and does not allow herself to be manipulated by guilt or societal expectation. She surrounds herself with people who uplift her, respect her, and appreciate her for who she truly is. A smart woman does not seek validation from others. She knows her worth, and she does not need external approval to feel valued. She does not compare herself to others, nor does she measure her success by society's standards. She defines success on her own terms, setting goals that align with her values and aspirations. She does not live her life trying to impress people who do not matter. Instead, she focuses on becoming the best version of herself, knowing that true fulfillment comes from within. She takes control of her own happiness and does not depend on others to make her feel whole. She understands that relationships, careers, and external achievements can add to her happiness, but they are not the source of it. She cultivates inner peace, embracing solitude and learning to enjoy her own company. She does not fear being alone because she knows that solitude is a powerful place for self-discovery and personal growth. She takes time to reflect, journal, meditate, or engage in activities that bring her joy. She is intentional about creating a life that makes her happy, rather than waiting for happiness to come from outside sources. A smart woman invests in herself continuously. She never stops learning, growing, or evolving. She reads books that expand her knowledge, takes courses that enhance her skills, and seeks mentorship from those who have walked the path before her. She understands that personal development is a lifelong journey, and that the more she invests in herself, the more she can offer to the world. She does not settle for mediocrity because she knows that she is capable of greatness. She also takes control of her finances because she knows that financial independence is a key component of self-care. She does not depend on anyone else to take care of her. She creates her own security. She budgets, saves, and invests wisely, ensuring that she is prepared for the future. She does not allow money to be a source of stress or dependency, but rather a tool for freedom and empowerment. She makes financial decisions with intention, avoiding unnecessary debt and ensuring that she has the resources to support the life she wants to live. A smart woman knows the power of self-love and practices it daily. She speaks kindly to herself, silencing the inner critic and replacing negative self-talk with affirmations of confidence and self-worth. She does not allow past mistakes or failures to define her. Instead, she embraces every experience as a lesson and an opportunity to grow. She forgives herself for the times she fell short and moves forward with grace and determination. She does not let the expectations of others dictate her choices. She lives authentically, embracing her true self without apology. She does not shrink herself to fit into a mold that society, family, or peers have created for her. She walks her own path, even when it is different from what others expect. She understands that her life is her own and that she is the author of her story. Above all, a smart woman knows that prioritizing herself is not about being selfish. It is about self-respect. She understands that when she is at her best, she can give her best to the world. She can show up for her loved ones, excel in her career, and make a meaningful impact. But it all begins with her. She does not wait for permission to take care of herself. She takes ownership of her life, knowing that self-care is the foundation of success, happiness, and fulfillment. She does not feel guilty for choosing herself. She does not apologize for putting her well-being first. She knows that she is worthy of love, respect, and the life she desires. And because she prioritizes herself, she becomes a woman who not only thrives, but also inspires others to do the same. A smart woman understands that true growth does not come from staying in a place of comfort. She knows that if she wants to reach new levels of success, happiness, and fulfillment, she must be willing to step outside of what feels safe and familiar. She realizes that staying comfortable often means staying stagnant, and she refuses to let fear hold her back from achieving her potential. Growth requires challenge, and challenge requires discomfort. She understands this fundamental truth and embraces it wholeheartedly. When she faces a new opportunity, she does not let self-doubt stop her from taking action. She acknowledges her fears, but does not allow them to control her. She knows that fear is a natural part of the growth process, but she also understands that courage is not the absence of fear. It is taking action despite fear. She pushes herself beyond her perceived limits, recognizing that what once seemed impossible will eventually become her new normal if she keeps moving forward. She sees challenges not as threats, but as invitations to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. She understands that personal growth is a lifelong journey. She does not settle for what she already knows, but continuously seeks new knowledge and experience. She reads books that challenge her thinking, listens to mentors who have walked the path before her, and surrounds herself with people who inspire her to be better. She invests in learning new skills, knowing that the more she expands her mind, the more valuable she becomes, not just in her career, but in every aspect of life. She does not allow herself to become complacent because she understands that there is always more to learn, more ways to improve, and more opportunities to grow. When she encounters failure, she does not see it as a sign to quit. Instead, she views failure as feedback, a lesson that points her in the direction of improvement. She does not allow setbacks to define her, but uses them as stepping stones to move closer to her goals. She understands that failure is not the opposite of success, but a necessary part of the journey toward it. She analyzes her mistakes, learns from them, and applies those lessons moving forward. She knows that resilience is built in the moments when she chooses to rise after falling, and she refuses to let temporary defeat become permanent. A smart woman understands that growth often means letting go of what no longer serves her. She recognizes when a job, relationship, habit, or belief system is holding her back, and she has the strength to walk away. She does not cling to the past out of fear of the unknown. Instead, she trusts that letting go creates space for new opportunities, new experiences, and new levels of success. She does not let her past define her future and refuses to remain in situations that hinder her progress. She understands that growth requires sacrifice, the sacrifice of comfort, familiarity, and sometimes even relationships that no longer align with who she is becoming. She pushes herself to take risks, knowing that the greatest rewards often come from the biggest leaps of faith. Whether it's starting a business, pursuing a passion, moving to a new city, or making a difficult decision, she trusts her intuition and takes action. She does not let the fear of failure keep her from chasing her dreams. She understands that every successful person once stood at the edge of uncertainty and had to take a leap. She reminds herself that growth is uncomfortable, but stagnation is unbearable. She would rather try and fail than live with the regret of never trying at all. She understands the power of adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and she knows that clinging to rigid plans will only lead to frustration. Instead of resisting change, she embraces it. She understands that flexibility is a strength, not a weakness. When things do not go as planned, she does not waste time complaining or dwelling on disappointment. She shifts her perspective, adjusts her strategy, and moves forward with confidence. She trusts that every detour is leading her towards something greater, even if she cannot see it in the moment. She is not afraid to be a beginner. Many people shy away from learning new things because they fear looking inexperienced or making mistakes. A smart woman, however, understands that every expert was once a beginner. She does not let the fear of imperfection stop her from starting. Whether it's learning a new language, picking up a new hobby, or stepping into a leadership role, she embraces the learning process with humility and excitement. She does not compare her beginning to someone else's mastery, but instead focuses on her own progress. She celebrates small wins along the way, knowing that every step forward is a step toward mastery. She cultivates a mindset of curiosity. She asks questions, seeks different perspectives, and remains open to new ideas. She does not assume that she knows everything, but is always eager to expand her understanding. She understands that true intelligence is not about having all the answers, but about having the willingness to ask the right question. She does not let pride or ego prevent her from learning from others, whether they are younger, less experienced, or from a different background. She values wisdom wherever she finds it and applies it to her own growth. Above all, a smart woman understands that growth is a choice. No one can force her to evolve. She must choose it for herself. She takes responsibility for her own progress and refuses to let circumstances or excuses hold her back. She understands that personal growth is not about waiting for the perfect moment, but about taking action in the present. She knows that the only way to build the life she desires is to commit to continuous improvement, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is difficult, and even when it requires sacrifice. She does not wait for life to push her into growth. She actively seeks it. She challenges herself to think bigger, dream bolder, and strive for more. She does not settle for being the same person she was last year, last month, or even last week. She constantly works to elevate herself, knowing that her future is determined by the action she takes today. She understands that the road to success is not always smooth, but she is willing to walk it because she knows that every step she takes toward growth is a step toward becoming the woman she was meant to be. A smart woman understands that self-respect is the foundation of a fulfilling life. She does not allow others to dictate her worth or compromise her values for the sake of acceptance. She knows that respect is not something that can be demanded, but must be earned through the way she carries herself and the standards she upholds. She refuses to tolerate mistreatment, dishonesty, or manipulation, setting firm boundaries that protect her peace and dignity. She does not chase after people who do not appreciate her presence, nor does she lower her expectations to fit into spaces where she is not valued. Instead, she remains true to herself, confident that the right people will recognize her worth and treat her accordingly. She understands that respect begins with self-respect. She does not speak negatively about herself or engage in self-destructive habits that undermine her confidence. She knows that the way she treats herself sets the tone for how others will treat her. When she walks into a room, she carries herself with confidence, not arrogance, because she knows she has nothing to prove. She does not seek validation from others because she has already validated herself. She embraces her strengths and acknowledges her flaws, understanding that self-acceptance is a key component of self-respect. She refuses to settle for relationships, friendships, or opportunities that diminish her sense of self-worth, knowing that it is better to be alone than to be in the wrong company. She sets clear boundaries and enforces them without guilt. She understands that people will only respect the limit she establishes. She is not afraid to walk away from those who repeatedly cross them. She does not overextend herself to please others at the cost of her own well-being. She knows that saying no is not selfish but necessary for self-preservation. When she prioritizes her own needs, she is better equipped to show up fully in her relationships and responsibilities. She does not feel the need to explain or justify her boundaries because she knows that those who truly respect her will honor them without question. She does not waste her energy trying to prove her worth to those who refuse to see it. She understands that some people will never appreciate her value no matter how much she gives or how well she treats them. Instead of seeking approval from those who do not deserve her, she focuses on building relationships with those who respect, support, and uplift her. She does not beg for love, friendship, or attention because she knows that anything forced is not worth having. She trusts that the right people will be drawn to her authenticity, and she has no interest in convincing others of her value. She does not tolerate disrespect, whether it is subtle or overt. She recognizes when someone is testing her boundaries, undermining her intelligence, or trying to manipulate her emotions. She does not engage in pointless arguments with those who seek to belittle or control her. Instead, she removes herself from situations and relationships that do not align with her self-respect. She does not allow anyone to make her feel small, unworthy, or invisible. When faced with disrespect, she does not react emotionally, but responds with strength and grace, making it clear that she will not be treated poorly. She speaks up for herself without fear. She does not allow herself to be silenced, dismissed, or overlooked. Whether in her personal life or professional environment, she asserts her opinions, thoughts, and feelings with confidence. She knows that her voice matters, and she does not shrink herself to accommodate others' egos. She does not allow fear of rejection or criticism to prevent her from expressing herself. She stands firm in her beliefs and does not allow others to intimidate her into compliance. She is not aggressive, but she is firm, making it clear that she will not be taken advantage of. She holds herself to high standards in every aspect of life. She does not engage in gossip, drama, or negativity because she understands that what she allows into her mind influences her self-perception. She surrounds herself with people who encourage her growth and distance herself from those who drain her energy. She does not lower her standards for love, success, or personal fulfillment. She refuses to accept less than what she deserves, even if it means waiting longer for the right opportunities and relationships. She knows that settling for less out of fear or impatience only leads to regret. She does not let others' opinions define her. She understands that not everyone will approve of her choices, and she is at peace with that. She does not live her life seeking to please others at the expense of her own happiness. She trusts her own judgment and makes decisions based on what is best for her, rather than what is expected of her. She knows that people will always have something to say, but she does not let their words dictate her self-worth or direction in life. She listens to constructive criticism, but filters out negativity that serves no purpose other than to bring her down. She takes responsibility for her own happiness. She does not rely on others to make her feel complete or fulfilled. She understands that true happiness comes from within and is a result of self-love, purpose, and intentional living. She does not place her happiness in external circumstances or people, knowing that both are unpredictable and temporary. She builds a life that brings her joy, whether she is in a relationship or single, whether she is surrounded by people or standing alone. She finds fulfillment in her passions, her goals, and her own company. She never compromises her integrity for acceptance. She does not engage in behaviors that go against her values just to fit in or gain approval. She remains true to herself, even when it is difficult. She does not participate in actions that make her feel uneasy or go against her moral compass. She understands that self-respect means standing firm in what she believes, even when it is unpopular. She does not betray herself for the sake of being liked, because she knows that self-betrayal leads to regret and resentment. She builds a life that reflects her worth. She does not wait for others to give her permission to pursue her dreams or define her success. She sets goals, works hard, and creates opportunities for herself. She invests in her growth, whether through education, personal development, or meaningful experience. She does not allow anyone to dictate what she is capable of achieving. She takes full ownership of her life, understanding that she is the only one responsible for her success and happiness. She refuses to settle for mediocrity because she knows she is capable of so much more. She walks through life with confidence, knowing that her self-respect will attract the right opportunities, relationships, and experience. She does not fear being alone because she understands that solitude is better than settling. She does not waver in her beliefs or lower her standards to accommodate those who do not value her. She trusts that by honoring herself, she will inspire others to do the same. She lives with the certainty that she deserves the best, and she will never accept anything less. A smart woman understands the power of patience and observation. She knows that not everything needs an immediate reaction, and she does not rush into situations without first understanding them. She takes her time to evaluate people, opportunities, and circumstances before making decisions. She does not allow emotions to cloud her judgment, nor does she let external pressures dictate her actions. She understands that wisdom comes from experience, and she embraces the process of learning through careful observation. She does not speak on matters she does not fully understand. She does not make assumptions without gathering facts. She listens more than she speaks, taking in information before forming conclusion. She understands that the world reveals its secrets to those who are patient enough to listen and observe. She watches how people treat others, knowing that their actions speak louder than their words. She does not get swept away by charming words or grand gestures, but pays attention to consistency and integrity. She notices patterns both in herself and in others, and she learns from past experiences to avoid making the same mistakes. She trusts her intuition, but also backs it with rational thinking. She does not ignore red flags or dismiss warning signs just because she wants something to be true. She waits, she watches, and she acts only when she is sure of the right course. She does not waste her energy reacting to every minor inconvenience or provocation. She understands that some battles are not worth fighting and that silence can be more powerful than words. She chooses her responses wisely, ensuring that her actions align with her long-term goals rather than short-term emotions. She does not allow temporary feelings to lead her into making permanent mistakes. She stays calm under pressure, thinking strategically rather than impulsively. She knows that self-control is a form of power, and she refuses to let others dictate her emotions or manipulate her reactions. She observes the behavior of those around her before placing her trust in them. She does not immediately open up to everyone she meets, but takes time to understand their true character. She knows that people reveal themselves over time. She does not rush into relationships, friendships, or business partnerships without careful consideration. She understands that not everyone has good intentions, and she is not naive in believing that appearances always reflect reality. She looks beyond words and watches actions, knowing that what people do consistently is a better indicator of who they are than what they say. She knows that life is a continuous lesson, and she treats every experience as an opportunity to learn. She observes successful people and learns from their habits. She studies failures, both her own and others, to understand what went wrong and how to avoid similar mistakes. She does not make the same error twice because she applies the lessons from her past to make better choices in the future. She does not rush through life blindly, but moves with intention and awareness. She is always growing, evolving, and refining her understanding of the world. She understands the importance of emotional intelligence and does not allow external situations to disturb her inner peace. She remains composed even in difficult situations, knowing that a calm mind is more effective in solving problems than a reactive one. She does not let insults, criticism, or negativity shake her self-confidence. She chooses her words carefully, understanding that what she says can either build bridges or burn them. She does not waste time arguing to listen, and she does not seek validation from those who do not respect her. She embraces the power of observation in her personal and professional life. She notices opportunities that others overlook and finds ways to turn challenges into advantages. She pays attention to details that others miss, making her more prepared and resourceful in every situation. She is always aware of her surroundings, ensuring that she is never caught off guard. She does not make rushed investments, whether in business, friendships, or relationships, but carefully assesses every situation before making a commitment. She understands that patience and careful planning lead to better results than impulsive decisions. She does not feel the need to prove herself to everyone she meets. She is secure in her worth and does not waste time seeking approval from people who do not matter. She allows her success, actions, and character to speak for her. She does not engage in unnecessary drama or try to win over those who are not meant to be in her life. She knows that the right people will recognize her value without her having to constantly remind them. She trusts that by being authentic and focused, she will naturally attract the opportunities and relationships that align with her purpose. She remains adaptable and open-minded, knowing that life is unpredictable. She does not cling to rigid expectations, but remains flexible in her approach. She observes changes in the world, in people, and in circumstances, adjusting her strategies accordingly. She understands that survival and success require the ability to evolve, and she is not afraid to shift her mindset when necessary. She does not resist change, but embraces it as an opportunity for growth. She does not complain about challenges, but looks for ways to turn them into lessons. She does not fear uncertainty because she trusts in her ability to navigate it with wisdom and awareness. She understands that knowledge is power, and she makes it a priority to keep learning. She reads, listens, and seeks wisdom from those who have walked the path before her. She surrounds herself with people who challenge her thinking and expand her perspective. She does not claim to know everything, but remains humble in her pursuit of understanding. She knows that true intelligence is not just about accumulating information, but about applying it effectively in real life. She is always curious, always questioning, and always refining her approach to life. She knows that in a world full of noise, the ability to remain quiet and observant is a strength. She does not rush to speak just to fill silence, but waits until she has something meaningful to say. She does not engage in unnecessary arguments or debates with people who are not open to reason. She does not waste energy trying to change people who do not want to change. Instead, she focuses on her own growth, ensuring that she is always improving, always learning, and always moving forward. She trusts that by mastering the art of patience and observation, she will always be in control of her own path. A smart woman understands the value of self-respect and carries herself with dignity in every aspect of life. She does not allow others to dictate her worth, nor does she seek validation from external sources. She knows that true confidence comes from within, and she refuses to let temporary emotions or outside opinions shake her sense of self. She does not engage in behaviors that compromise her values, and she does not tolerate disrespect from anyone, no matter how close they may be to her. She has clear boundaries and enforces them without hesitation. She does not allow guilt or pressure to make her compromise what she stands for. She knows that if she does not respect herself, others will not respect her either. She understands that self-respect is reflected in her choices, from the people she surrounds herself with to the way she presents herself to the world. She does not engage in relationships, whether romantic, professional, or social, that diminish her self-worth. She knows when to walk away from situations that no longer serve her, and she does not hold on to toxic connections out of fear or loneliness. She does not settle for less than she deserves because she knows her value. She does not chase anyone's approval or beg for attention because she understands that the right people will recognize her worth without her having to prove it constantly. She is selective about the energy she allows into her life. She does not entertain negativity, gossip, or drama because she understands that these distractions take away from her peace and productivity. She does not waste time explaining herself to those who are committed to misunderstanding her. She does not lower her standards to fit in or be liked. She is unapologetically herself, knowing that authenticity attracts the right opportunities and people. She chooses to invest her time in relationships that uplift and inspire her rather than those that drain her energy. She respects herself enough to invest in her personal growth. She is always learning, always evolving, and always striving to be better than she was yesterday. She reads, listens, and seeks wisdom from those who have walked the path before her. She is not afraid to admit when she is wrong, and she takes responsibility for her mistakes rather than making excuses. She understands that growth requires humility and the willingness to learn from every experience. She does not let pride or ego stand in the way of her improvement. She does not engage in unnecessary conflicts or seek revenge when wronged. She knows that her peace is more valuable than winning an argument. She does not allow anger or resentment to consume her, because she understands that holding on to negativity only harms her in the long run. She chooses to walk away from situations that do not align with her peace and purpose. She does not waste energy on people who do not respect her, and she does not let their actions define her self-worth. She moves forward with grace, knowing that her energy is better spent on things that contribute to her growth and success. She understands that her body is a reflection of her self-respect, and she takes care of it accordingly. She prioritizes her health, both physically and mentally. She fuels her body with nutritious food, stays active, and ensures that she gets enough rest. She does not engage in habits that harm her well-being, and she does not allow stress or external pressures to take control of her life. She understands that self-care is not a luxury, but a necessity. She makes time for herself, whether through exercise, meditation, or simply doing things that bring her joy. She does not neglect herself in the pursuit of success or in the effort to please others. She does not allow society or external influences to dictate her self-worth. She does not compare herself to others because she understands that everyone has their own journey. She does not seek validation through social media, material possessions, or superficial recognition. She knows that true confidence comes from knowing who she is and being content with herself. She celebrates her uniqueness rather than trying to fit into a mold created by others. She does not need external approval to feel worthy because she already knows her value. She understands that her time is valuable and does not waste it on things that do not contribute to her goals and happiness. She does not engage in mindless distractions or procrastinate on her dreams. She is disciplined and focused, making sure that her actions align with her long-term vision. She does not let fear of failure stop her from taking action. She knows that setbacks are a part of growth, and she does not let them define her. She gets back up, learns from her mistakes, and keeps moving forward. She is financially independent and does not rely on others for security. She makes smart financial decisions, saves for the future, and invests in herself. She does not live beyond her means or make impulsive financial choices. She understands the importance of financial literacy and ensures that she is in control of her own resources. She does not stay in situations, whether jobs or relationships, out of financial dependency. She builds her own foundation, ensuring that she is never at the mercy of anyone else's generosity or control. She surrounds herself with people who respect and uplift her. She does not waste time on those who bring her down or make her feel less than she is. She values meaningful connections over shallow interactions. She does not engage in friendships based on convenience or obligation, but rather seeks relationships that bring positivity and support into her life. She understands that the company she keeps influences her mindset and energy, so she chooses wisely. She carries herself with grace, knowing that her self-respect is evident in the way she speaks, acts, and presents herself to the world. She does not need to demand respect because she commands it naturally. She walks with confidence, knowing that she is enough as she is. She does not shrink herself to make others comfortable, nor does she feel the need to prove herself to those who do not appreciate her. She knows that by respecting herself, she sets the standard for how others should treat her. A smart woman understands that emotions are a powerful force, but she does not allow them to control her decisions. She recognizes that while feelings are valid, they are not always a reflection of reality, and acting purely on emotion can lead to regret. She does not let temporary emotions dictate permanent actions. Instead, she practices emotional intelligence, learning to manage her feelings rather than letting them manage her. She knows that emotions like anger, frustration, and sadness are a natural part of life, but she does not allow them to cloud her judgment or push her into making impulsive decisions. She takes time to process her emotions before reacting. When faced with challenges, she does not immediately respond with anger or distress. Instead, she steps back, assesses the situation logically, and chooses her response carefully. She knows that reacting emotionally often leads to saying or doing things that cannot be taken back. She values patience and self-control, understanding that the ability to stay composed in difficult situations is a sign of strength, not weakness. She does not allow negative emotions to consume her, nor does she let them dictate her interactions with others. She understands the power of emotional resilience. Life will always have its ups and downs, but she does not let difficulties break her spirit. She does not dwell on past mistakes, nor does she allow disappointments to define her. Instead, she learns from every experience and grows stronger because of them. She does not let rejection, failure, or criticism shake her confidence. Instead, she uses them as motivation to improve and move forward. She understands that setbacks are not the end, but rather an opportunity to learn and become better. She also recognizes that not every situation requires an emotional reaction. She does not waste energy on things she cannot control. She does not let the words or actions of others dictate her mood or self-worth. She knows that people will always have opinions, and not all of them will be kind or fair. Instead of allowing negativity to bring her down, she chooses to focus on what truly matters. She does not let criticism or gossip affect her peace. She understands that her happiness is her responsibility, and she refuses to give that power to anyone else. She practices self-awareness, constantly checking in with her emotions and ensuring they do not lead her astray. She knows that it is okay to feel deeply, but she also understands the importance of balance. She does not suppress her emotions, but she also does not let them dictate her actions. When she is upset, she allows herself to feel, but she does not allow herself to stay in a negative emotional state for too long. She knows that dwelling on negativity only leads to unnecessary stress and unhappiness. She also understands the importance of emotional detachment when necessary. She does not become overly attached to situations or people that no longer serve her growth. She knows when to walk away from toxic relationships, negative environments, or unproductive habits. She does not hold on to things that drain her energy or bring her down. She recognizes that not every battle is worth fighting, and that sometimes the best response is silence and distance. She does not beg for love, respect, or attention. She understands that what is meant for her will always find its way to her, and she does not chase after things that are not aligned with her purpose. She does not allow temporary feelings to affect her long-term goals. She does not make impulsive decisions based on how she feels in the moment. She understands that emotions are fleeting, and what feels overwhelming today may not matter tomorrow. She makes decisions based on logic, wisdom, and careful thought rather than being driven by momentary emotions. She knows that acting out of fear, anger, or sadness often leads to regret, so she takes time to think before making important choices. She also understands the importance of surrounding herself with emotionally intelligent people. She does not engage in toxic relationships filled with unnecessary drama and manipulation. She chooses to be around those who bring positivity and stability into her life. She does not entertain individuals who constantly drain her energy or bring negativity into her space. She values relationships that are built on mutual respect, understanding, and maturity. She knows that mastering her emotions does not mean ignoring them. Instead, she allows herself to feel while maintaining control. She acknowledges her emotions, but does not let them overpower her. When she is sad, she allows herself to process it, but she does not let it consume her. When she is angry, she finds constructive ways to express it rather than allowing it to harm her or those around her. She understands that true strength is found in balance, allowing herself to be vulnerable without letting emotions control her life. She does not rely on others to regulate her emotions. She does not expect anyone else to be responsible for her happiness or peace. She takes full ownership of her emotional well-being, knowing that it is her responsibility to create a life that brings her joy and fulfillment. She does not seek external validation to feel good about herself. She knows that true happiness comes from within, and she prioritizes self-care, self-love, and emotional stability. She practices emotional discipline in her communication. She does not speak out of anger, nor does she use her emotions as a weapon against others. She communicates clearly, calmly, and respectfully, even in difficult situations. She understands that words have power, and she chooses to use them wisely. She does not engage in arguments that drain her energy or lead nowhere. She knows when to speak and when to remain silent. She values meaningful conversations over unnecessary conflicts. She embraces emotional independence, knowing that her inner peace is the most valuable thing she can protect. She does not allow external situations to dictate her mood or mindset. She remains grounded no matter what challenges life throws at her. She does not let temporary hardship shake her faith in herself or her future. She believes in her ability to handle anything that comes her way. She does not let fear or doubt stop her from pursuing her dreams. She remains in control of her emotions, knowing that this is what sets her apart. She does not allow emotions to dictate her actions, her relationships, or her future. She is intentional about her responses, her choices, and the way she navigates life. She does not allow negativity to take root in her mind. She stays focused, disciplined, and emotionally strong, knowing that this is what empowers her to live a life of purpose and success. A smart woman understands the value of personal boundaries and never allows herself to be manipulated by guilt or obligation. She knows that her time, energy, and emotions are precious resources, and she is intentional about how she invests them. She does not say yes to things that drain her simply because she feels pressured to do so. She has the wisdom to recognize when someone is trying to take advantage of her kindness, and she refuses to allow anyone to guilt trip her into doing something that goes against her well-being. She understands that being a good person does not mean being a doormat, and she does not let guilt force her into commitments that do not align with her values or goals. She is firm in her decisions and does not second-guess herself when she knows she is doing what is best for her. She recognizes that people who truly respect and care about her will understand and honor her boundaries. She does not let anyone make her feel selfish for prioritizing her own well-being. She understands that self-care is not selfish, it is necessary. She knows that if she does not take care of herself first, she will have nothing left to give to others. She does not allow guilt to manipulate her into carrying burdens that are not hers to bear. She refuses to be emotionally blackmailed by those who try to use guilt as a weapon. She recognizes the tactics of people who try to make her feel bad for not meeting their unrealistic expectations. She does not fall into the trap of feeling responsible for the emotions or happiness of others. She understands that everyone is responsible for their own feelings, just as she is responsible for hers. She does not take on the weight of fixing other people's problems at the expense of her own peace. She can offer support, but she does not allow herself to be drained or controlled by others' needs. She knows that guilt is often used as a tool by those who want to manipulate her into doing what they want. She has encountered people who try to make her feel bad for setting boundaries, for saying no, or for putting herself first. But she does not fall for this trap. She stands firm in her truth and does not allow herself to be swayed by emotional pressure. She does not owe anyone an explanation for her choices. She understands that not everyone will be happy with her decisions, but she does not let that determine her actions. She refuses to live her life based on what others expect from her. She does not let guilt force her into staying in relationships, friendships, or commitments that no longer serve her. She understands that people who truly love and respect her will support her decisions, even if they do not always agree with them. She does not feel obligated to maintain relationships with those who constantly drain her energy or take advantage of her kindness. She knows that love and loyalty should never come at the cost of her own peace and happiness. She is not afraid to walk away from situations that make her feel unappreciated or undervalued. She does not allow guilt to keep her stuck in unhealthy healthy dynamic. She understands that it is not her responsibility to fix broken people, nor is it her duty to sacrifice her own well-being for the sake of others. She has the strength to recognize when it is time to let go, and she does so without regret. She does not let fear of disappointing others stop her from doing what is right for her. She trusts herself and her intuition. She does not allow the expectations of society, family, or friends to dictate how she should live her life. She does not feel guilty for choosing herself. She understands that she is the one who has to live with her choices, so she makes them based on what aligns with her truth, not based on what will make others happy. She does not waste time trying to please everyone, because she knows that no matter what she does, there will always be people who disapprove. Instead of seeking external validation, she focuses on what feels right for her. She recognizes that guilt is often an illusion, a feeling imposed on her by those who want to control her. She knows the difference between genuine accountability and toxic guilt. She takes responsibility for her actions when necessary, but she does not take on guilt that does not belong to her. She does not feel guilty for saying no, for choosing her peace, or for making decisions that prioritize her well-being. She knows that setting boundaries is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. She does not allow cultural or societal pressures to make her feel guilty for wanting more out of life. She does not let outdated beliefs force her into a role that does not fulfill her. She does not feel guilty for being ambitious, for seeking financial independence, or for wanting to create a life that aligns with her vision. She knows that she has the right to chase her dreams without feeling bad about it. She does not let guilt hold her back from pursuing what truly makes her happy. She also understands that self-love means standing up for herself, even when it is difficult. She does not allow guilt to make her stay silent when she needs to speak up. She does not let guilt force her into putting others' needs ahead of her own. She does not feel guilty for outgrowing people, for evolving, or for wanting better for herself. She embraces change without guilt, knowing that growth is a natural part of life. She does not let anyone make her feel guilty for choosing peace over chaos, solitude over toxic relationships, or happiness over obligation. She lives with intention, making choices that align with her purpose rather than choices that satisfy others. She does not waste time explaining herself to those who will never understand her journey. She moves forward unapologetically, without guilt, without regret, and without looking back. Small woman understands the value of her time and energy, and she does not waste either on people who do not appreciate or respect her. She knows that relationships should be built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding, and she does not allow herself to be caught in cycles of toxic interactions. She does not chase after anyone, whether it be in friendships, romantic relationships, or professional connections. She understands that people who genuinely want to be in her life will make the effort to stay, and those who do not are not worth her time. She never begs for attention, validation, or love, because she knows that these things should come naturally in healthy relationships. She refuses to lower her standards or compromise her self-respect just to keep someone in her life. She values her dignity more than she values the fleeting approval of others. She does not force connections that are not meant to be. If someone is not reciprocating her efforts, she does not chase or try to prove her worth. She knows that people who genuinely care about her will show up without needing to be persuaded. She understands that healthy relationships flow naturally, and she does not hold on to people who continuously make her feel unwanted or unappreciated. She does not engage in one-sided efforts where she is the only one trying to maintain a connection. She recognizes when it is time to walk away, and she does so with grace and confidence. She does not beg for love, time, or attention because she knows that real love does not require begging. She also applies this mindset to her professional and social life. She does not chase after opportunities that are not meant for her. She puts in the work, but she does not desperately cling to situations that are not aligned with her purpose. She understands that sometimes rejection is redirection and that the right opportunities will come when she is ready for them. She does not waste her energy trying to convince people to see her value. She knows what she brings to the table, and she does not feel the need to prove herself to those who do not recognize her worth. She remains focused on her growth and success, knowing that the right people and opportunities will naturally align with her path. She refuses to engage in toxic cycles with people who only come around when it is convenient for them. She does not tolerate inconsistency, mixed signals, or half-hearted efforts. If someone only reaches out when they need something, she recognizes it and does not entertain it. She does not chase friendships or relationships that drain her or leave her feeling unfulfilled. She understands that real connections are built on mutual effort, not one person doing all the work. She does not waste time on people who play games or keep her as an option. She knows her worth and refuses to settle for less than what she deserves. She does not let the fear of being alone push her into chasing the wrong people. She understands that being alone is better than being in relationships that make her feel unloved, unappreciated, or unfulfilled. She embraces solitude when necessary and uses that time to grow, reflect, and invest in herself. She does not let societal pressures make her feel like she needs to be in a relationship or surrounded by people at all times. She is comfortable with herself and does not rely on others to validate her worth. She understands that true confidence comes from within, and she does not need external approval to feel complete. She does not settle for breadcrumbs of affection or attention. If someone is not fully invested in her, she does not waste her time waiting for them to change. She knows that she cannot force someone to value her, and she does not waste energy trying to make them see her worth. She does not cling to relationships that no longer serve her or hold on to people out of fear of losing them. She knows that what is meant for her will never require her to beg, chase, or lower her standards. She remains firm in her standards and does not let anyone make her feel guilty for expecting respect and effort. She does not accept less than she deserves just to keep someone around. She understands that quality is more important than quantity when it comes to relationships, and she would rather have a small circle of genuine people than a large group of insincere ones. She does not chase after people who constantly make her feel like an afterthought. Instead, she focuses on herself, her goals, and her growth, knowing that the right people will come into her life naturally. She understands that true love, friendship, and respect cannot be forced. She does not manipulate, beg, or try to convince anyone to be in her life. She believes in reciprocity and mutual effort. If someone values her, they will show it through their actions, not just words. She does not waste her time on empty promises or people who only show up when it benefits them. She knows that actions speak louder than words, and she pays attention to how people treat her, not just what they say. She does not let rejection or abandonment shake her self-worth. She knows that just because someone does not appreciate her does not mean she is not valuable. She does not internalize other people's inability to recognize her worth. Instead of chasing after those who walk away, she lets them go, trusting that better things are ahead. She does not take it personally when people leave her life. She focuses on her journey and does not dwell on those who are not meant to be part of it. She moves forward with confidence, knowing that she does not have to chase what is meant for her. She does not waste her time, energy, or emotions on people who do not reciprocate her efforts. She values herself enough to walk away from anything that does not align with her self-respect and happiness. She lives by the principle that the right people will always find their way to her, and she does not need to beg for love, attention, or respect. She chooses herself first, knowing that she is worthy of relationships that are built on genuine love and mutual effort. A smart woman understands the power of emotional control and never allows her feelings to dictate her actions. She recognizes that emotions are fleeting and that decisions made in the heat of the moment often lead to regret. Instead of reacting impulsively to situations, she takes a step back, analyzes the bigger picture, and responds with wisdom and composure. She does not let anger, frustration, or disappointment cloud her judgment because she knows that giving in to emotional outbursts only weakens her position. She remains calm in the face of adversity, understanding that true strength lies in restraint and strategic thinking. She never allows another person to provoke her into losing control, no matter how much they may try to push her buttons. Instead, she keeps her dignity intact, knowing that reacting emotionally often plays into the hands of those who wish to manipulate or diminish her. She does not let temporary emotions lead to permanent mistakes. When she feels hurt, betrayed, or upset, she does not act impulsively or lash out. Instead, she takes time to process her emotions and gain clarity before making a decision. She knows that reacting out of anger or sadness can lead to words and actions that cannot be taken back. She practices self-discipline, ensuring that she never gives anyone the power to dictate her mood or behavior. She refuses to let negative emotions consume her, knowing that allowing them to take over would only hinder her progress. She channels her emotions into something productive, using them as fuel to push herself forward rather than allowing them to drag her down. She understands that not every situation deserves a reaction, and not every insult requires a response. She picks her battles wisely, knowing that engaging in unnecessary drama is a waste of time and energy. She does not let petty arguments, baseless criticism, or the opinions of others affect her inner peace. She knows who she is, and she does not need validation from anyone to feel secure in herself. She is not easily provoked, and she does not allow the negativity of others to dictate her actions. Instead, she chooses to rise above, keeping her focus on her goals and personal growth. She never lets her emotions control her decision-making, especially when it comes to relationships. She does not let loneliness push her into making desperate choices, and she does not let temporary feelings of infatuation blind her to red flags. She approaches love and friendships with a clear mind, ensuring that she is not being led by emotions alone. She understands that true connections are built on trust, compatibility, and shared values, not just fleeting emotions. She does not stay in toxic situations just because she feels attached, and she does not ignore her intuition when something does not feel right. She has the strength to walk away from anything that does not serve her well, even if it is difficult in the moment. She does not allow fear to hold her back from making important decisions. Whether it is in her career, personal life, or relationships, she does not let fear of failure or rejection stop her from taking action. She acknowledges her fears, but she does not let them control her. She understands that fear is a natural response to the unknown, but she refuses to let it paralyze her. She takes calculated risks, knowing that growth comes from stepping outside of her comfort zone. She does not let the fear of other people's opinions dictate her choices. She follows her own path with confidence, trusting in her abilities and intuition. She knows how to regulate her emotions in professional settings. She does not let stress, frustration, or office politics affect her performance. She remains professional and composed, ensuring that she always presents herself with confidence and grace. She does not let workplace drama distract her from her goals. She knows that success requires focus, and she refuses to let emotional distractions pull her away from her ambitions. She approaches challenges with a level head, knowing that obstacles are a part of life, and that the way she handles them determines her success. She also applies this level of control to her personal relationships. She does not allow emotions like jealousy, insecurity, or resentment to take over. She trusts herself and the people she surrounds herself with, and she does not waste energy on unnecessary doubts or suspicions. She communicates effectively, expressing her feelings in a calm and rational manner rather than allowing them to build up and explode later. She understands that clear communication is key to maintaining healthy relationships, and she does not resort to passive-aggressive behavior or emotional manipulation. She handles conflicts maturely, ensuring that she addresses issues with logic and understanding rather than letting emotions escalate the situation. She takes care of her mental and emotional well-being, knowing that emotional stability is a key part of a successful and fulfilling life. She does not let stress or anxiety consume her, and she prioritizes self-care and mindfulness. She practices emotional intelligence, understanding her triggers and learning how to manage them effectively. She surrounds herself with positive influences and does not allow toxic people to disrupt her inner peace. She understands the importance of balance, ensuring that she takes time to recharge and maintain her mental clarity. She does not let negative emotions control her interactions with others. She treats people with kindness and respect, even when she is feeling frustrated or upset. She does not let a bad day cause her to lash out at those around her. She understands that how she treats others is a reflection of her own character, and she does not allow momentary emotions to dictate her behavior. She remains kind, patient, and understanding, even in difficult situations. She does not let grudges or past disappointments cloud her judgment. She forgives, not because she is weak, but because she refuses to carry unnecessary emotional burdens. She remains in control of her emotions at all times, knowing that emotional stability is a sign of true strength. She does not let external circumstances dictate her happiness. She chooses her reactions wisely, understanding that how she responds to situations is within her control. She does not let temporary setbacks discourage her, and she does not dwell on things that are out of her hands. She keeps her focus on the bigger picture, always moving forward with confidence and determination. She knows that true success comes from mastering one's emotion, and she continuously works on strengthening her mindset. A smart woman understands the power of her energy and time, and she never wastes them on things that do not serve her growth or align with her goals. She knows that time is one of the most valuable resources she has, and once it is gone, she can never get it back. Because of this, she is intentional about how she spends her time and who she gives her energy to. She does not engage in meaningless drama, gossip, or negativity that drains her spirit and adds no value to her life. She refuses to entertain toxic relationships that take more than they give. She prioritizes her own well-being and understands that protecting her peace is a necessity, not a luxury. She does not waste her energy trying to change people who do not want to change, and she does not invest in situations that continue to prove unworthy of her efforts. She is wise enough to recognize when something is no longer serving her, and she has the strength to walk away without looking back. She does not spend her time dwelling on the past, regretting things she cannot change. She understands that what is done, and no amount of thinking about it will alter the outcome. Instead of replaying past mistakes or missed opportunities, she focuses on the lessons they taught her and applies them to her present and future. She knows that dwelling on what could have been is a waste of her mental and emotional energy. She chooses to move forward with wisdom and clarity, ensuring that she does not repeat the same mistakes. She refuses to let past failures define her, and she does not allow guilt or regret to hold her back. She is always looking ahead, focused on creating the best future for herself. She does not waste her energy trying to prove herself to people who will never appreciate her. She does not chase validation from those who do not see her worth. She knows who she is, what she brings to the table, and what she deserves. She does not lower her standards or compromise her values just to be accepted by others. She does not waste her time arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding her. Instead, she lets her actions and success speak for themselves. She stays true to her beliefs and does not feel the need to constantly explain herself. She understands that not everyone will support her journey, and she is okay with that because she does not need external approval to feel secure in herself. She does not give her energy to negativity, whether it comes from other people or from within herself. She does not allow self-doubt or fear to consume her mind. She understands that negative thoughts will always try to creep in, but she does not entertain them. She focuses on solutions instead of problems, on growth instead of setbacks. She knows that whatever she feeds her mind will shape her reality. So she chooses to feed it with positivity, confidence, and determination. She does not waste her time comparing herself to others because she knows that everyone's journey is different. She stays in her own lane, focused on her own progress, and does not let jealousy or insecurity take root in her heart. She does not waste her energy trying to change people who do not want to change. She understands that everyone grows at their own pace. She does not force anyone to be something they are not ready to be. She does not engage in one-sided relationships where she is the only one putting in effort. She values reciprocity and mutual respect, and if a person does not appreciate her presence, she has no problem removing herself. She does not waste her time hoping that someone will one day see her worth. If they do not recognize it now, she knows that they never will. She does not beg for attention, love, or loyalty. She understands that the right people will never make her feel like she has to fight for a place in their lives. She does not waste her time on excuses. She takes full responsibility for her life and actions. She does not blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck for where she is in life. She knows that while she cannot control everything that happens to her, she can always control how she responds. She does not waste time complaining about things she has the power to change. Instead, she takes action. She makes decisions based on logic and wisdom, not on fear or procrastination. She does not allow herself to fall into a victim mindset. She understands that setbacks are a part of life, but they do not define her. She takes every challenge as an opportunity to grow, and she refuses to let anything hold her back. She does not waste her energy on relationships that drain her. She values her peace more than temporary companionship. She does not entertain people who are inconsistent, disrespectful, or emotionally unavailable. She knows that it is better to be alone than to be in bad company. She does not chase love. She attracts it by being the best version of herself. She does not waste her time waiting for someone to change or hoping that they will finally treat her right. She walks away from anything that does not add value to her life, knowing that real love and respect are never forced. She does not waste her time on things that do not align with her goals. She is focused, disciplined, and committed to her vision. She does not let distractions pull her away from her purpose. She sets clear priorities and sticks to them. She knows that every minute wasted on unproductive activities is a minute she could have spent working towards her dream. She is intentional with her time, ensuring that everything she does contributes to her growth and success. She does not let other people's opinions dictate her choices. She follows her own path, trusting that she knows what is best for her. She does not waste her energy trying to control things that are beyond her power. She understands that some things are simply out of her hands, and she does not stress over them. She focuses on what she can control: her attitude, her actions, and her mindset. She lets go of what she cannot change and trusts that everything will work out as it should. She does not dwell on a what ifs or if onlys. She lives in the present, making the most of every moment and ensuring that she is always moving forward. She protects her peace, values her time, and invests her energy only in the things that truly matter.